Greetings everybody, this is Serpentine451 and welcome to another episode of Weeb Warriors, starting with the summer 2019, and joining me as always is my good friend Jordan. How you doing tonight, Jordan?
I'm pretty good, Tony.
That's great. And joining us for the summer season, you know him, you like him, you can't get enough of him, it's Jay.
How you doing, you wonderful weebs? I'm back.
Oh no. But anywho, so gentlemen, we've actually got our shows locked down for this season. Let's tell the folks back at home what shows we're going to be reviewing. I mean, we've already alluded to it several times in previous reviews, but it's a good refresher to kind of give everyone a little bit of a helping hand. And plus,
we can go ahead and go through that.
Yeah.
So the list thus far is going to be Magical Senpai, Vinland Saga, Fire Force, Dr. Stone, How Heavy Are Those Dumbbells You Lift, Danmachi 2, and if it's for my daughter, I Defeat a Demon Lord. In addition, although it hasn't, Danmachi 2 technically has not started yet, although there is an episode 0 promo video, I believe.
Yeah, it's just a PMV.
Yeah, it's pretty much catching people up to speed if they didn't watch shit.
Yeah, if they didn't want to rewatch all 14 episodes, which they should, they did a quick recap video that they posted on Crunchyroll.
And plus, it was some spicy, some funny shit. Because Hestia and Belle just are fucking nut. It was great. Because Hestia's it's one what's it? She's dumb bitch.
she hates so hard on Wallenstein for no reason.
Yeah, because apparently she's just sliding into next to Belle and just trying to vie for his affection in Hestia's mind. I mean,
if y'all want to see a really funny version of Wallenstein, watch Danmachi Abridged. It's called How to Be an Adventurer.
Oh yeah, that shit's funny because she wants to treat Belle like a pet. It's fucking great.
Yeah, she's a pervert with a pet fetish in that one, and it's hilarious.
The funniest goddamn thing. And he's like, nah, I ain't dealing with this. I get screwed by a goddess quite literally every goddamn day. I ain't dealing with your shit.
Also, once Danmachi starts, we have to have a conversation about the physics-defying boob ribbon, because,
are we really going to have a conversation about the physics-defying boob ribbon? She is, in fact, a goddess that's been forced into a mortal form in a world where there's a potentially endless tower that allows people to obtain supernatural powers. Is that really where we want to draw the line, the boob ribbon?
That's where a lot of people drew the line for some reason, but yeah, no, you're right.
Well, other people
and
aren't
I really
us.
question how people's suspension of disbelief is constructed sometimes. They remind me that people are very fickle.
Yeah. Such is the world of anime fandom, right?
Well, I kind of classify it as the world full of dipshits, but hey, we can say that too.
I miss you guys. Anyway.
But, enough of that. Let's actually start with where the folks at home can actually catch some of these shows. Obviously, a good portion of these shows can be seen on Crunchyroll and Funimation, but with Vinland Saga, it's a different situation. It's on Amazon Prime.
Do not skip out on it, you guys, because I know a lot of people don't know this anymore, because a lot of people are against Amazon's anime thing, because a couple years back they had that stupid Annie strike thing, which was a completely separate service for some reason, but Amazon no longer has anime strike. They just lump their anime together with Prime Video. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, which a lot of you most likely do, because everybody likes their convenient 2-day shipping.
And plus, I'm expecting a game this month.
Vinland Saga. Yeah. So you can watch Vinland Saga as long as you have an Amazon Prime account. So you should be good. And if you don't, I know you probably know somebody with an Amazon Prime password. It's just not that difficult.
Yeah, and I am also 100% sure you don't want to sleep on what is admittedly a very good show.
It is one of the most hyped anime of the season without getting into it yet. But, like, seriously, guys, watch it.
And we'll explain why. Well, let's talk about it first, then. So, Vinland
Alright,
Saga.
we're jumping right into Vinland Saga. Okay, cool.
So, with Vinland Saga, I'll leave it to you, Jay, since you were mostly the one that was pushing for this show. Explain the premise of Vinland Saga to the folks at home.
Okay, so Vinland Saga is basically a historical dramatization of the Viking explorer Thorfinn. And, like, his journey from childhood to adulthood. Now, currently Vinland Saga has released the first 3 episodes. Somewhere Not Here, Troll, and I believe the other one was called Sword.
Yeah,
And
it was Somewhere Not Here, Sword, Troll.
yeah, so basically, like, long story short, his Thorfinn's father Thors is an ex-warrior of Sigurd Ragnarsson's army, and Sigurd Ragnarsson is, of course, the son of the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok. If you watch Vikings, you know who that is. If you know your Scandinavian lore and legends, you know who that is. But he deserted the army because he realized he did not want to live the life of a cold-blooded killer. If you want me to relate this in some more anime terms, imagine Kenshin Himura, but a Viking. And so he wants to give up the murderous life, and so he fakes his death, goes to live in a remote village in Greenland. I want to say it's Greenland because it's the icy one, right?
Yeah, it's Greenland. Actually, it's
Okay.
Iceland. They're in
Really?
Iceland. Yeah.
Really? I
'Cause-
thought because it was
'cause-
icy, they were in Greenland because that's why they named it. Okay.
No,
Okay, so
they call it.
I mean-
Leaf actually mentions that it is Iceland.
It's not as though ice does not exist in Greenland just because in Iceland just because of the whole
I mean,
switcheroo there.
no, because like they make it a big deal to like emphasize how much of like a wintry hell it is. So I assumed it was Greenland. Okay, so Iceland. So they live in he lives in this remote village in Iceland. You know, he's pretty much the chieftain. He protects it, and he lives pretty much a calm and peaceful life until, you know, one of Ragnar's lieutenant shows up, Floki. If you're familiar with the show on History Channel of Vikings, once again, you will know who Floki is. He is just as shady in this interpretation of the story as well. And Floki is like, hey, I realized you faked your death. The leader agrees to forgive you of your sins if you go into war with us against the English. If you don't, I'm going to burn this entire village to the ground, take your women, you know, pillage, the usual Viking stuff. And so Thor's reluctantly agrees. He takes a band of young men with him, which he plans to ditch in Norway on the way to the battle so they don't have to partake in war, because Thor's is that much of a badass that he is willing to just go in alone, willing to die for his people, because he doesn't want them to be haunted by the ghost of war just as he was. However, things don't go according to plan, because not only do his men, like, not only does his son stow away on the ship, but they get ambushed on the way to Norway by one of Floki's agents, and so the third episode ends by kind of blueballing you by having the ambush take place, and then Thor's kind of flash steps onto the enemy boat and is about to attack, and then episode cuts off.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the sad and raw deal of it. And plus, the characterization of all the different historical figures, in air quotes, given some, like Leif Erikson, everyone in the village should treat him like shit. It's fucking hilarious.
I think that is great, because, like, to me, I would think Leaf is a crazy old man too, with all his stories of all the different continents and places he's gone, and like all the different exaggerations that he comes up with, like, you know, the stuff about Jormungandr and stuff like that.
Oh no, the funniest goddamn thing is that the kids were like, "You're a lying old man. My grandpa said that Jormungandr is wrapped around Midgard. How the hell did you get to these mysterious new continents if Jormungandr circles the Earth?"
Yep. And that proves to you, ladies and gentlemen, flat earthers existed back then, although most people thought the Earth was flat back then, so, you know, it's not really...
Not
actually technically correct. But
Not
okay.
true. Not true. Not true, Jay. If the ancient
Actually,
Greeks...
well, I mean, I don't blame Jeremy. It's a common misconception, but people have known that the Earth is round for a very, very long time.
Oh, really?
If the ancient
I mean,
Greeks...
it's not that difficult of a thing to determine, right? Just imagine you're a simple-minded person, and you watching your friend sail out on their ship, on their boat. There just comes a point where you can't see the boat anymore, but there's only water ahead of you, so you're not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I almost want to say there was an Egyptian mathematician that proved that the Earth was round, although there are many mathematicians throughout history that have confirmed that same observation. And just anecdotally, you can just look out. And eventually, you know, even if there's not anything obstructing what you're seeing, you can no longer see what's out there, right?
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Well, the point I was making, because a lot of the Viking explorers firmly believed in the whole world is flat thing, like sail to the edge of the earth.
And I mean, just like there are people nowadays that believe that the continents are giant islands and that there is no center of the earth, it's all just water. People have some weird ideas.
Yep, people are weird and yet dumb at the same time.
But yeah, back to Vinland Saga though, like, dude, this series, like, in terms of animation, just background detail alone is great. You can tell that this was, you know, had a lot of care put into it. You know, I haven't personally read the manga myself, but I have a lot of friends who have, and they when I first heard about this, like a few years ago, like, I got a lot of Berserk comparisons, and that's a tall order. Like, Berserk is one of my favorite manga of all time, so I was like, wait, you're comparing this to Berserk? I don't know if that's gonna live up to it. And then I actually see the anime, and I'm like, okay, you're I can see it. Studio Wit really did put their, you know, best foot forward with this one. I mean, that's to be expected when this is the same studio who did stuff like Attack on Titan and Ancient Magus Bride, both very beautifully animated shows.
Oh, so that's the studio that animates the series. So that's some of their other work. Neat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I can really say about this show is how the characters kind of interact with each other and how diverse their personalities are, and you see the potential evolution in characters if you don't know the historical ramifications of it just yet.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure most people who've seen stuff like Game of Thrones know, you know, can pretty much guess what's going to happen to Thoros, because he's very Ned Starkish.
Yeah, I've kind of figured that he's going to make this triumphant sacrifice in order to protect Thorfinn and all that. Which
and besides, in all the trailers, they focus on, like, Thorfinn and adult and teenage Thorfinn, so, like, you kind of know where this is going.
Yeah, and he looks like a shaggy mad dog when he's an adult. It's just amusing to me.
Yep.
Oh, and the funniest thing that I really have to point out here is the opening and ending. Like, the OP in this series is very good for what it is, when I actually don't skip a good portion of it, because time saver. But the one thing I cannot stand is the screaming bit of it. It just irritates me profusely.
I've never been into Screamo myself. I dug it for a while, and then, like, it got to the part where he started screaming, and I'm like, oh, okay, nah, I'm cool, fam.
Yeah, you just don't need that in your life anymore. It's
I
pretty
mean,
embarrassing.
To be fair, I'm a person who only watches the anime opening for the first episode and then skips it from that point on.
I think that's well, unless you're Jordan, you just skip both OP and ED because, well, you want to save time.
And you know, see, I'm not.
Openings and endings are for lames.
I'm not one of those elitist assholes that is like, you're not really watching an anime if you don't watch the opening and ending. I understand it's much more time efficient, and if you really are watching a lot of anime, you ain't got time for no openings and endings. I totally feel you.
Oh yeah, so, especially if you don't want to like witness anything you saw in the opening and ending that you never want to see again.
Yeah, also, like, some openings and endings, especially for shonen series, spoil the shit out of plot points. Like, you know, to any of my One Piece fans watching out there, we're not covering One Piece, but, like, the One Piece opening spoils a big plot point in the Wano arc that we literally just got in the manga a couple weeks ago. So, I don't know what you're doing, Toei Animation, but that's a big-ass spoiler you put in the opening.
Well, they want to sell you on that spoiler. They want to sell it to you.
They asked in advance.
It's like, oh, that's a really pivotal plot point that's going to be crucial to the arc going forward. Oh yeah, we're definitely putting this whole entire scene, not even silhouetted, in the opening, in plain view for people to see.
Yeah, I think openings definitely have a terrible way of doing that. Especially when you start really paying a little too much attention. It's just like, it's season 2 of my favorite series. Wait, why is my favorite character not in the opening?
Oh no!
Oh no! That's the. That's...
Also, you know, just to go on a little just a tiny tangent. I always hate whenever like animes have like a fire first opening and then the second opening is trash. Like Tokyo Ghoul's first opening was so good. I love that song, and then they changed the song, and I'm just like, oh well, you suck.
Well, it's a give and take situation, yeah. You have some openings that are really good, like on fire track.
Save this for the soapbox at the end and finish the review.
Oh yeah, okay. But yeah, so that's Vinland Saga. That's pretty much Vinland Saga. Go watch it, you guys. Like I kept alluding to it, but seriously, if you like the show Vikings on the History Channel, definitely you need to watch Vinland Saga because it's pretty much that in anime form.
Yep, most definitely. So, what show should we talk about next, gentlemen? Any suggestions?
We could stick to the action front and go for Fire Force.
Right. Okay.
Let's talk about Fire Force.
All right.
So, in a much more abridged summary of... Actually, I probably shouldn't do the summary because I don't know any of the characters' names.
I just know the main character's name is Shinra, because that was the title of the episode. Shinra Kusakabe enlists.
Hey, Tony, you're much better with names. How about you lead it?
I only remember most names. I gave them pet nicknames like I tend to do if I don't remember their names.
Yep, I know Shinra, Asshole Lieutenant, Captain Pervert, and Big Titty First Officer.
Alright, so this is what we're not going to do.
Oh, and the sister, and the nun. I'm not going to give a disrespectful name to the nun because I'm Catholic.
Yeah, let's not give disrespectful names to nuns.
We got Shinra, Arthur, Maki, Iris, and...
Obi is the captain. I remember the captain's name is Obi. Captain Obi.
Yes. Akitaru Obi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's as far as we've gotten. Because I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and there's a lot of other people introduced later on, but I think these are the 5.
Yep, for Unit 8. Yep.
Okay, so it opens up with a scene where so let me begin this by saying, if you're not familiar with the plot of Fire Force is, you come in here with some expectations and they're immediately thrown smooth out the window. So we open up with just a common scene of passengers on a subway train going about their day. Suddenly, ash begins to exude from one of these people's mouths, and it bursts into flames, which quickly consumes the entire car. People begin to flee as it comes into the station, except for our main character, Shinra, who seems almost excited that an infernal, or someone who has spontaneously combusted and now their soul is trapped in their burning body, has appeared before him. The rest of the Special Fire Force Company 8 shows up, deals with the infernal, and Shinra introduces himself by saving Iris from a falling piece of the subway, which was damaged in the fight.
Yep.
As Jeremy said, the lieutenant, whose name is Arthur?
Yeah, Arthur. No, that's the glasses dude, right? That's the one with the glasses.
I believe so.
Yep.
Or maybe not.
Hold on.
Because I'm reading his description and that doesn't sound like him.
Give me a second. I just gotta pull up. Because I have the character names listed in my review tags. I did a review of this last week.
Arthur is not his name. Let me go to... That's another character that will be introduced to some other time.
Alright, Fire Force, here we go. His name is... Okay, I want to say it is...
It's Takahisha.
Takahisha? I was gonna say it's either Takahisha or... No, Iris is the nun, yeah, so it is Takahisha. Yep.
Yep. Alright, here we are. Good. He's an asshole.
Yeah, he...
Honestly, great deal of this is just introducing the audience to the world, explaining what an infernal is, and I already gave that description, but also introducing the pyrokinetics, whose existence have not been explained, but it seems that there's a generational relationship between how potent their powers are and what generation they belong to. Shinra's powers are very potent, and he's a third generation pyrokinetic, while other members such as Maki
is a second generation fire.
She's a second generation. Iris, as well as Takahisha, he's also second generation. Aki, Obi, and Iris are non-powered members.
Yep.
Although Obi puts in work with that pile driver of his.
Yeah, I think Iris uses some sort of holy magic because she says like a prayer and is able to like help exorcise the.
Right. I definitely think that the religion surrounding around the sun gets some more detailing moving forward because there's no overt phenomenon that's occurring.
By the way, I did a little further research into Fire Force because I was interested in checking out the manga. Do you guys recognize the art style?
Yeah, it's mostly related to Soul Eater.
Yeah, it's the same guy. It's the same mangaka that did Soul Eater.
Yep.
If you notice, like Shinra looks a lot like Blackstar.
Yeah, it's something that I've known about for the longest time because I knew the creator of Soul Eater was doing another manga that was either a part of the similar universe of Soul Eater or just something completely its own thing. Yeah, I was well aware of it, but
yeah, I did not know that until I started looking into Fire Force as the anime was about to come out, and I heard people talking more about it. Yeah, Soul Eater was great. The anime did not have the best ending, obviously, but the series overall was pretty awesome.
Well, and one of the things I really find interesting is that the different kinds of pyrokinetics, well, the different skills that each of our pyrokinetics have are very interesting and makes for very, very flashy and colorful fight
So was
scenes.
I the only one who was thinking about Avatar: The Last Airbender when Shinra started using his powers? Because you know how they did like the fire jet from their feet, like Zuko and Azula did in the one episode. Like I instantly just thought of that. I was like, oh, so they're doing the fire jet thing from Avatar.
But question.
I don't think Avatar had an exclusive claim on the idea.
Well, I
Definitely
know.
something that was featured prominently there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's just something I heavily associate with Avatar. I'm not saying Avatar has exclusive rights to it, but like, you know, it's ingrained in my head as like an Avatar thing.
Oh, but what amuses me greatly is that since you guys can look into it more than, well, I can obviously do it too, but it's a bit of an explanation that I would like to have personally because I enjoyed this first episode. I thought it was great, personally. But I'm trying to figure out and wrap my head around how Maki's ability works. Is it that she
it is pretty
repels?
interesting. I do.
She?
I do want to know how it works as well.
Like, is she repelling the fire that already exists to move it to a different location, or is it a bit more complicated than that?
I was thinking it's kind of like a low key teleportation thing. Like she can teleport fire, like quantities of fire away, but she has like a set limit. Haven't read into it, so I don't know, and I don't want to.
Sorry, what are we discussing?
Like how Maki's power works.
I think she just controls fire. I'm not sure what you mean.
So is it like just pushing fire away to...
I think she literally snuffed it out.
Oh, okay.
Or bend it.
So maybe I was just thinking too much into it. Okay,
she just moved. The whole building's on fire, and it's not as if fire is... So, like, how to put it? Fire in of itself is just the way that we process the combustion reaction and emission of infrared light. It doesn't occupy a physical amount of space. It can be moved into itself.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Also, you know, something I find really fun about Fire Force so far in this introductory episode, since it was mostly focused on introducing the concept and the world, and also giving us a taste of Company 8's different personality quirks. I love all the different personalities that are in Company 8. Maki's little hopeless romantic thing is adorable. I think that's going to be a fun thing to explore. It's going to lead to some good comedy bits. Also, like, Captain Obi reminds me of, like, a more positive, less jaded version of Captain Yami from Black Clover. Like, he seems like he was, like, a shonen protagonist from another show. But, like, and a grown up now.
Oh, boy. I mean, yeah, that dude just was working out all day. Just really pushing those muscles. And
he seems like a cool dude. Like I said, Maki's personality quirk is pretty funny. I like that we have somebody who's untrusting of Shinra in the lieutenant, because they'll make an interesting dynamic, and I'm sure like when they eventually do become friends, it'll definitely feel more earned that way. I like that not everybody is buddy right off the bat. Although those two are the ones that the Fujoshis are going to ship the most because tsundere.
Yeah, because perverts be perverts, I guess. I mean, to be fair, we're all degenerates in our own special ways here, so we don't discriminate levels of degeneracy, but there are some levels of degeneracy that most folks don't want to cross.
Yep. So yeah, Fire Force is pretty dope. Honestly,
yeah.
Like, as far as first episodes go, it did the best job of introducing me to a world I was unfamiliar with, other than Vinland Saga.
Yeah, and I think it did solid in what it intended to do. Introduce you to the characters, introduces our protagonist's main motivation throughout the course of the series. Just solid.
I mean, his motivation
very
isn't
solid.
anything. Yeah, his motivation isn't anything like groundbreaking. It's pretty much standard shonen protagonist. Like, it's the Naruto formula. Like, get used to seeing that scene of people looking at him all sad. Y'all remember the swing? Y'all remember the swing? That's gonna be the swing. I just want y'all to remember this, because that's it right there.
Well,
Just say.
the next thing we should talk about is... What should it be, gentlemen?
Well, we talked about... Well, let's stick to Shonen and go to Dr. Stone next.
Alright, so Dr. Stone. Since you were mostly the one that brought it up, Jay,
Okay.
you take the floor.
So, get excited, as Senku would say. So, I've read the manga. Basically, the long and short of it is one day a random flash of light occurred all throughout the world, petrifying all of human life. Then, 3,700 years later, Senku emerged from this petrification, and thanks to his consistent neural activity, he was able to keep himself alive. Look, you gotta suspend a lot of your disbelief with this, because a lot of it doesn't actually make sense when you really think about it. But he breaks out of there, he times it so that he breaks out during spring, because if he broke out during winter, it would be instant death. And so he spends 6 months trying to build a crude shelter and whatnot, and then 6 months later, his good buddy Taiju busts out of his own statue and finds a message that Senku wrote for him, follows the river down, finds Senku's camp, and he also finds the statue of the girl he was trying to confess his love to, Yuzuriha, and also the statue of the world's strongest high school martial artist, Tsukasa Shishio. And basically, Senku and Taiju are trying to figure out the cure to petrification, which actually does not take them that long, because Dr. Stone is more focused on... How I elevator pitch this to people is, essentially, Dr. Stone is an anime that is the equivalent to a playthrough of Civilization. Because, basically, Senku, Taiju, and the rest of our main cast are trying to get Civilization back to the technological level of the time it was before it was frozen, which I know sounds impossible, but anime logic. And Senku and Taiju both have extremely accelerated stats. So, thinking of it from like an RPG perspective, Senku has like maxed out intelligence, Taiju has maxed out stamina, Tsukasa has maxed out strength, and I don't actually know what
You mentioned characters that haven't actually shown up. I guess we saw him, but
yeah. I mean, it was already mentioned in the first episode that he's like the world's strongest,
Yeah, I get you.
martial artist. I don't actually know what Yuzuriha's special skill is. I haven't gotten that.
I mean, to make a man love you for 3,700 years, you gotta have maxed out fucking charisma. I don't know.
I mean, that is true. He was.
I don't know what she's bringing. I don't know what she's bringing or like filling the air with.
Oh yeah, no, and
also,
also, my man Taiju is like the most dedicated and unlucky dude in the universe. Like, he spent 5 years crushing on this girl. He finally gets the courage to tell her how he feels, and the second it's about to happen, whoop!
Yeah.
World gets petrified.
Don't all y'all suffer from that similar level of disappointment when you're about to do something on that level?
Any of y'all who complain about that fear of rejection, just remember Taiju. This man was frozen for 3,700 years.
Yeah, and...
Right, well,
he's yet to confess.
Yep.
Yep, he's still at that point where, like, I have grown in these many years. I tried to find my inner strength. I kept
and
thinking
so
of the girl that I was
basically-
crushing on.
Yeah, and so basically, by the end of the first episode, they end up figuring out the anti-petrification formula using after they figure out how to like process alcohol using grapes, and they combine it with a chemical produced in the cave, and yeah, they test it on a bird, and the bird ends up unfrozen. So now we have our cure to petrification. But it's not that simple, folks, because, it's an entire world of people that are still frozen, and they have no way to actually properly distribute said cure.
Yep.
Or mass produce it efficiently. So
Even
that
though
is our goal.
even though Senku has a big brain, it's all about how to distribute everything.
Intelligence isn't gonna do you much unless you have a decent enough labor force. And I mean, Taiju's great, but you're gonna need more than Taiju.
I mean, we're not even going to try to inject any degree of realism into this.
I mean,
No.
look, I said that straight up, like right off the bat. Like you gotta suspend.
All I'm saying is, I love the series, but we're just gonna you just have to let suspension of disbelief hold, because you mean to tell me that 3,700 years of fucking water erosion didn't break the shell, but a few years of nitric acid would do it? I don't buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, man.
Right.
We can't.
3,700 years of erosion it didn't fix it, but nitric acid will?
And that's kind of the thing about Dr. Stone. You gotta suspend a lot of your disbelief. But the cool thing also about Dr. Stone is you get a lot of cool, like, fun science facts, like, how to ferment alcohol. They teach you how to make gunpowder in the manga, which, all things considered, should not be distributed to children in a magazine meant for children.
Just want some straw, and get you some sulfur and some coal, and you got
That's literally what they do, and they give you a step-by-step.
No, I'm not stupid. This is on my first day in the world.
They give you a step-by-step little diagram, and I'm like, you should not be putting this in a magazine that's supposed to be targeted at 12 to 10 to
I'm
12.
from the generation where in middle school it was cool to download and read the Anarchist Cookbook, which taught you how to make soap bars at the bomb. So,
Yeah.
what you trying to say?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. That's pot calling kettle black. You're right. Mm-hmm.
And think of it like this. If the world did seem to, go to the shitter and we lose all of our modern technology, how the hell else are we supposed to learn how to do some rad shit?
But
I don't think anime should be the source that you look to if you need to rebuild all of civilization.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, read books, folks. Just read books.
But the point I was trying to say is all the different pieces of technology are real things, and it's pretty cool how they implement them. Although obviously it's anime, so a lot of the supplies are just kind of conveniently there. So don't expect this to work in real life. But I mean, if you're stupid enough to believe that, I don't know if there's hope for you.
Yeah, there's actually no hope for people like that. If you have people that try to take chainsaws by stuffing them down their pants down in Florida, you have a bunch of people that are willing to have Darwin Awards plastered on their persons all day.
Hey, man.
Also, just as a update, please don't make nitol. If you make it too high of a concentration, it will explode.
Yeah, don't do that.
Please don't.
Don't do that.
Please don't, Lord.
And if we do, we know who your waifus are. They are Bleach-chan and Tide Pod-chan. Because...
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta say this. During that whole montage of them fermenting and actually making wine, our boy Tenchu got this rockin' beard going.
Yeah. I loved how he had the beard, and he was like, "Wait, I don't want to unfreeze Yuzureha and have her be confused because I got this beard going on. I got to shave." And then he cuts himself a billion times.
By just a fucking oyster. Or scallop. One of those fucking things. That shit was funny.
Dr. Stone was a very solid adaptation. I was very curious to see how they were going to handle it anime-wise, because a lot of the manga is just, okay, Taiju, you don't understand how this works because you're stupid. Let me go ahead and explain how this works. Okay, now let's build this. Cool, we built that. Now we're going to move on to the next thing. So I was wondering how they were going to handle such like an exposition-heavy series, but they've handled it pretty well. Like its pacing is very well done, and like I didn't get bored just listening to Senku explain stuff. I mean, I didn't get bored reading it, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah, for the amount of explanation that had to be done to have that montage, it was pretty good. But I wonder if they were going to use it as a formula for the rest of the episodes, because I feel like that would get rather boring. I don't want to watch a series through montage, you know.
Oh no, that's what I'm curious about, because I mean like, because the way Dr. Stone is, or at least you know the way I don't know how many chapters they're going to do per episode, but gauging by this first episode, like the first few episodes are probably just going to handle the prologue, because like the first 6 to 10 chapters are all a prologue to the story, and then we get into the actual story around like chapter 15.
And I mean, the PV has already sort of spoiled the arc, and I can see how it's going to play out already in my head.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
having not read a single chapter, but having watched the promotional video.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's something that you probably should have guessed, given the circumstances of this world, but you assumed that, you know, human nature wouldn't somehow rear its head.
But, you know, that's just how it is, and besides, it's a shonen manga, we gotta have conflict somehow.
Yeah, because
I mean, I hear you. I definitely, when I initially saw it, I thought it would be more of a person versus nature sort of conflict, rather a person versus person conflict.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It has been 3,700 years. There's plenty of time to let ludicrous, terrible shit happen.
Yep.
And there's plenty of drama that happened in the rebuilding of an entire civilization.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. But you know, that's just not the way the series wants to go, and I'm okay with that, honestly.
I'm not faulting them. I don't think that they've taken the low road or anything.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not. It's but yeah, overall very solid first episode, really good adaptation. I'm definitely looking forward to Dr. Stone moving on. And guys, look out for Tsukasa's entrance. He has one of the most badass entrances like ever. It's pretty dope. I'm excited for that episode.
Rips, balls, busts teeth in.
Nice. Okay, so actually let's move on to a show that I actually recommended to Jay not too long ago. I think it was...
you recommended it to me yesterday, and
right.
I watched it today.
Right, okay. So this is... If it's for my daughter, I'd defeat Demon Lord. Now, the basic premise of this show is we meet a character named Dale, who is an adventurer. You know, it's another fantasy world. It's not an isekai this time.
Real quick, I just want to point out, like, this is the first time in a long time I've ever heard of an anime protagonist that's not from America having an American-ass name.
Well, a lot of the characters in this world have very...
Watched the show before Tony recommended it to you, because I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh, it's great. I'm going to watch it by myself. But since we're now reviewing it, I will talk about it.
All right, go ahead.
I agree with you. Dale's name is definitely weird, but I think it's just a trend with this writer, because he was like, I'm not going to rack my brain trying to make up complex-ass names. We're going with simple shit here.
Yep, this is a very simple fantasy world.
Crazy.
Yep.
So,
crazy names don't make it better or worse.
Also, it's a fantasy world that's not an isekai.
I was just about to say that. So
I don't know why people feel so against just using traditional fantasy worlds.
I'm saying, like, you don't have to make it an isekai just because you want to make it a fantasy world. Just set it in a fantasy world. That's what makes Danmachi awesome. It has the RPG elements that you would expect in an isekai, but it's just a regular fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Bell isn't transported into Danmachi. He just lives here.
Watch it turn out that he was transported here.
Nope,
Oh my
it's
God.
not. It's not.
Watch it be an isekai in the end.
It's not actually. Having
Also, I probably shouldn't talk much trash, seeing as Towers is entirely isekai, but moving right
Yeah,
along.
no, okay. True.
So,
But continue. Go ahead, Jordan.
oh, it was me
Right,
explaining. Me explaining the show.
I was just interjecting that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so while Dale was adventuring, he runs into this little girl who is a demon. And due to the culture of demons, if you commit a crime, one of your horns gets broken. And so by the end of the episode, he ends up adopting this little demon girl he found in the woods after burying a male demon who he assumed to be her father, and getting her cleaned up, freshened up, and we're introduced to other characters like Rita and Kenneth, who run an inn together, and a few other interesting folks that we will get to know more down the line. And I think the name of the daughter escapes me at the moment. It begins with an M.
It's Latina.
Latina. Yep. So she has a problem actually speaking the native tongue to humans, but Dale tries his best to communicate with her.
A nice touch that I like that they did on Crunchyroll is that, like, because it's a foreign language, like, because it's a demon language, they also have Japanese subtitles for it.
Yep, and it's also translated on top of it, which is
I
the
think
funniest
that was a
goddamn
cool
thing.
touch.
Yeah. But with that, the best way that Dale can communicate with Latina is through broken demon language that they use for magic. Which, hearing this, like the interactions between these two characters that end up forming a bond, it's just one of the most adorable things you can actually see. And this is actually one of the
Can we
shows.
just appreciate for a moment that it's not a lewd relationship?
Thank you!
Exactly.
Right.
Yes,
It's
it's
a lewd, this small child.
That's what I love about Senko-san, and that's what I love about this, right? Finally, we can have a lolly that is not looted. I mean, the internet's probably gonna loot her because they're a bunch of evil.
Let's not think on that.
Yeah.
But so side note, I just want to talk about like the funniness of like the timing of this show. So just like an IRL note, like my girlfriend is currently in the midst of like baby fever because her sister is pregnant. And so I show her this anime, and I'm just like, isn't this fucking cute? She's like, oh my god, it is. Because I'm like, I will show you this, but I refuse to have kids at this point. Not right now. No, not until I have a stable income.
Well, to be fair, while I was watching this show, it got me thinking, you know what? This is why I need to connect with my nephews more. Especially the youngest.
It's definitely one of those ones. If you take care of kids, or like you spend a lot of time as a babysitter, or you have siblings or younger family members, it reminds you of those times. It's so fucking cute. Oh my god.
And then they grow up to be
enjoyed the
shitbirds.
series. I didn't know y'all were having these deep personal journeys, but then
I mean, I also enjoy the series, but
Yeah, I enjoy it too, but it got me thinking, you know what? I should make sure to be close to my family because I'm too much of a goddamn hermit.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. My culture doesn't allow me to be a hermit.
Well, apparently me just living my life enables me to have such a behavior. But, anywho,
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a sad thing, but
you can think of it either way you want. It could either be sad or
But
And we're going to take it as a positive and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But either way, I really like the just very wholesome, sweet relationship that they have, and it's great. It's absolutely adorable. And from what I saw of the OP, she's also going to be like a support mage for him, and that's going to be really cool to see.
I actually want to, this will probably be one of the first times I've ever seen a demon of any sort using like healing magic or support type magic.
That's what I'm saying. That's what really interests me is the fact that it seems as though she uses support and like buff magic instead of like the traditional infernal and dark stuff.
Well, that's because, you would be terrified if you saw your birth father get, like, destroyed by something and you're just roaming in the forest by yourself. And the next person you see, you want to make sure that they stay alive.
I'm not convinced that demon was her father.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because she referred to him by, like, first name. So, like, that's definitely... I don't think that's her name.
Taking a wild guess here, the way that she referred to him made it seem as if he was her attendant.
Yeah.
Which makes me think of very traditional tropes of, like, some powerful noble is betrayed.
I was
like, trust the servant away. He's injured in the escape. And then eventually he gets into the woods and he's succumbing to his injury, so he tells her to stay away, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so, like, judging by the title, again, I haven't, like, looked into the light novel, and I'm assuming it's a light novel given the long title.
Actually, it's a manga. It's a manga, too.
Well, I was assuming it was a light novel first, but, yeah, anything with a long-ass title is most likely a light novel. But judging by the title and, just kind of my prior experience with fantasy stuff, my guess is that, like, she is the daughter of a nobleman in Demon Society, like Jordan said, that betrayed the Demon Lord, and so it's kind of like an Anastasia situation, where, like, again, like what Jordan said, he had, like, probably one of his, like, guards or something protect her as long as he could. They caught up to him, told her to run, and he got killed. And so, eventually, the Demon Lord is going to find out about the fact that Latina survived, and he's going to send people after Latina and Dale, and they're going to, he's going to have to fight a Demon Lord for his daughter, as the title implies.
Yep. Well, I think that's pretty much it. So, we're down to our last two shows. Both of them can be, well, how should we put this, gentlemen?
The last two are both comedies. Well, all three, if we count the pervert one. I don't remember the full name of the...
Well, that one hasn't dropped yet, so it's on our list, rest assured, but we're not going to be talking about that show.
That's right. You guys do stuff the previous week. Got you. Remember? Okay.
Yes, exactly. So we're mainly talking about episodes 1. Well, let's get Magical Senpai out of the way, because the most recent episode dropped today, if I'm correct.
Yep, it did.
But we're mostly going to be focusing on the first episode.
Okay, so I was the one who pushed for this one, so I'll go ahead and explain it. It's going to be pretty quick. Literally, it's a short, ecchi comedy about a girl who wants to be a magician, but is deathly afraid of performing in public, which is pretty counterproductive if you want to be, a stage performer. And because of her crippling stage fright, it ends up often causing her to put herself in compromising and lewd position. Quite literally.
The best way I can explain it,
always
folks...
sweaty. So sweaty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the best way I can explain it to the folks at home, sad girl tries to be a magician, gets scared, then becomes basically hentai fodder, and that's about it.
Pretty much.
Oh, and and the best thing about this series, no one has names. They're basically referred to as kohai, senpai, assistant.
Yeah, no one has names. Literally, in my review, I'm just like, yeah, they don't have names, so I'm just gonna refer to them as they refer to Assistant Kun and Senpai.
Well, to be
I
fair,
mean, would their names mean anything to you?
Yeah,
no.
they are pretty, super generic, which, isn't a bad thing. Generic doesn't always mean bad.
Well,
I meant not even necessarily that the designs are generic, just simply the fact that that's really not the purpose of the series.
oh,
Yeah,
definitely
it's
not.
Literally, guys, the enjoyment of this series, like, have you ever been down, like, a rabbit hole and just watched a bunch of, like, fail videos? Like, that is essentially what Magical Senpai is. It's a 15-minute fail video compilation.
Or,
And it's
or it's something that you watch people be dumb. Well, one person be dumb all day. It's kind of like watching Aho Girl all over again.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna front. And I was also. It's kind of funny because I like this show, but I could not stand Aho Girl, and Jordan has the opposite perspective.
It's just hard to watch. Because All Girl is a comedy through and through. This is like, they just made this girl suffer just to show her titties. And it's just like, maybe when I was a younger man, I would have felt differently. But
I feel you.
Oh,
Also,
but here's
like,
the great thing about this show is that
Okay, can we come to, real quick? Can we come to a consensus that she definitely has a bondage fetish?
yes, she most
Oh,
certainly
100%.
does. Yes, most certainly.
and apparently it is an exhibitionist. But
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to
so
make
yeah.
here is we gotta give it to our main man assistant. He really can put some.
The best part about the show is that Assistant Kun is actually pretty good at magic.
Yeah, and she's like super jealous about it. And
Yep.
you also gotta love a girl who wants to name her pigeon
Behemoth.
Behemoth. Yeah,
oh, it was Bahamut.
Bahamut.
Yeah, Bahamut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
her stuffed animal is Behemoth in the second one.
Okay, that's what I got confused. But yeah, Bahamut the pigeon, that was pretty hilarious. I personally, like, speaking as a content creator, I have fun reviewing the episodes, and probably the most fun part is choosing the thumbnail image. Because, like, if y'all know how YouTube works, clickbait is, like, the ultimate power.
Yeah, because your most viewed videos when it comes to your anime reviews for the season have been nothing but titty monsters.
I mean, look, I know how the fandom works. I am a part of this fandom.
Oh, I know. We know how to draw in the eyes of the crowd. I mean, us entertainers have to do that, you know?
Exactly, and who can say no to titties? I mean, like, it applies to, it appeals to all.
Yep. Because apparently every man, woman, and child just will be drawn to an anime girl with huge knockers.
Well, look, children, children, I'm not here to judge you. I was 12 too. I remember.
You remember?
I remember having the folder of anime stuff in middle school and just being like, "Nah, Mom, this is homework." Oh, shut up, George. You know damn well you had a whole folder that was encrypted.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Shut up real quick, didn't
To
you?
be fair, I never really had.
My fault they let you do encrypted compressed folders back in the day.
Sure.
Well, speaking of nothing but absurdly lewd things, let's get down to our last show.
Okay, so how heavy are the dumbbells you lift? I really like this show. I weight trained in high school, so I'm very familiar with a lot of this stuff. And also, it reminds me a lot of Hinamatsuri. I know you guys remember that one because I was here when we covered.
How does a Dechi anime remind you of Hinamatsuri? That's a little concerning.
No, it reminds me of Hinamatsuri because of the expressions and like how like the reaction faces are a lot of the basis of the humor. You know what I mean?
I mean,
okay.
I can see where you can make that comparison. There are a lot of shows that we've watched that have great.
I'm good. I was just concerned.
No, like that's the reason why. Because like I know y'all remember like bartender middle school girl and her classic ass reaction faces. Also Hina's reaction faces.
So the bartender. I can't remember that girl's name to save my life, but she had me dead.
And that's the same thing with Hibiki and her reaction faces to like muscle Ahegao girl, Akemi. Like, bro, she had me dying. She's like, are you serious? No, calm down. Calm down.
And plus,
and also, Hibiki is like a super relatable character because I feel like we've all been there. Like, you know, we wanted to get in shape, and then we realized, okay, there's a reason I'm not in shape.
Oh, believe me, I can relate to a girl that basically wants to eat everything in sight. And when her friend tells her, "Yo, you're putting on the pounds. You're getting fat."
Side note: she is not fat. She's actually, you know, pretty proportionate. I would classify her as thick more than fat.
Don't try to body type the anime characters.
Yeah. But the point is that Hibiki wants to be a little bit more slimmer, have a little bit.
Yeah, she wants to be more toned.
She wants that beach perfect body. She wants that beach perfect body. So she ends up going to a gym called the Silverman Gym, not really really putting two and two together that the gym that she just joined a membership for is filled with nothing but swole-ass dudes.
When I saw the gym for the first time, and it was populated with nothing but characters from the early 90s, JoJo and Baki the Grappler, I was like, damn. Damn.
Oh, and
Araki, is that you? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, early Araki? What's going on here? Oh, did you...
Araki? What are you doing?
Jay, and did you see,
bro?
like, when those doors open and one of the muscle heads, one of his pectoral muscles, like, when he was just really getting going, the muscles kind of erupted from his arm, like, holy fucking shit.
That was straight up JoJo reference, and I'm just like, alright, like, okay, we're here now.
Yep,
I guess. The part that had me dying was when Homeboy, the personal trainer, I forget his name. Machio. When Machio gets all into it and he flexes and he goes from like a regular pretty built body, and then you see him flex and his whole freaking like top ripped. And
his whole clothes ripped, leaving nothing but that Speedo. And he's like, oh my god.
A straight up JoJo character. And I love Hibiki's reaction. She was like, what the hell? You look like your face was photoshopped onto that body. And that was exactly what I was thinking. And I'm just like, whoa, shit.
Oh, and damn. I think the best part...
Also, that's one of the weirdest OPs I have ever seen in my entire life. I will never watch that again.
Second, it makes me question everything. The ED makes me question things. I'm like, what the fuck? What did I just watch? But here's... Oh, shit. Oh, god damn it again. Oh well. It's just a bit of a small technical bug, but here's the one thing. The ED creeps me out. Never again. But you know what's the best part about this show, too? It actually gives you instructions on how to do some exercises.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And it's actually like they do it in proper ways too. They show you the form. It kind of reminds me of like the educational portions at the end of shows like Cells at Work and Killing Bites. Yeah, I remember Killing Bites with like the metal animal facts.
Yeah.
Fucking
Killing Bites was accurate to an extent. Yeah.
I mean, think of it like this. If you want to do squats, you just need to do it the proper way. And even though Akemi had to make so many lewd faces, so many lewd faces when she was just showing off how
muscle fetish.
Well, we should probably explain the other characters in this show before we actually go to the soapbox to discuss things.
Alright.
Like, we alluded to her, let's talk about Akemi. Well, when we first meet her, per Hibiki, she says that this is the top of the class of the all-girls school that Hibiki and Akemi go to, and she's just a knockout of beauty. Just there.
Mm-hmm. And she looks like your standard Ojo-sama archetype.
Yep. But when they actually got to the gym and those doors opened to those muscle heads, she just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, she completely loses her shit and just ahe-gals all over the place.
Yeah.
Just looking left, right, exploding. Like, if this was an anime made in like early 90s as the art style, as the like, art inspiration would suggest, Akemi would have definitely had one of those like volcanic nosebleeds.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But the best we got are very, very lewd eyes.
Also, I really enjoyed Hibiki, like, fourth wall break during, like, the little segments where Machio is explaining, like, the muscle groups that, like, they're working in the certain exercises, and they do, like, the diagram on, Akemi's body, and she's, like, blushing and stuff, and just, like, this is just your excuse to pander to the male audience and do fan service.
Yes.
Yeah!
Yeah, it was like, what is...
Accuracy.
Yep, these are facts. These are facts.
Yeah, it's just like, well, hello, thumbnail.
Yep,
Good to see.
But no. And for the first... and I know what thumbnail you used for the... for your episode review of this show. I know... I know what you did.
I am a man of culture, and in particular an ass man of culture, so, of course.
And plus, I think we've talked about this at length, but at least with Hibiki, she's a good protagonist for a show like this.
Yeah, she's super relatable.
And plus, when Akemi can compare Hibiki to a shonen protagonist, basically a bottomless pit that will eat everything.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, some of us who... Well, let's put it like this. Even though you don't work out consistently, and you stay relatively thin, we know people like that. I like to believe I'm someone like that.
I'm one of those people. Like, I consistently... Like, I don't do heavy, like, weight training anymore. But, like, I train to keep myself active because, I have to push a wheelchair around a lot. So, I've got to keep my, at least, upper body intact. I don't need to do leg day. Leg day is not really my thing. But, in retrospect, but like, I get it. Like, I remember, like, when I first started out with weight training, I could barely do the bar. It took me about a month to just do the bar in terms of like bench pressing, and eventually I got used to it and I got better at it. So like I really felt Hibiki struggle when she was like she did 10 and she was like out of breath and she was looking at freaking Akemi and Akemi was just like pumping it out and she was doing double the amount of weight that she did. I'm like, yeah. Looking at my friends doing what they're doing, I kind of was, I felt like that too. I was like, well, dang, I'm struggling with the bar. You guys have like 100-pound plates on each side of these. I'm like, whoa. Oh.
Well, to
Whatever
be
reason,
fair,
Jeremy, people get obsessed over those sort of things.
well, to be
I
fair,
know.
Akemi did say that she was at another gym. Well, at the
Yeah.
same gym at a different
So
location.
she has prior experience, so
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be cool. But definitely Hibiki has some prime potential to be the summer waifu for sure. She already has the kawaii, so like
Oh,
she's got an edge over a lot of the other potential waifus of the season, but she's got the kawaii thing, so
oh, and plus,
one to look out.
when Hibiki makes a cat face, I don't know why, but I like that expression on her face. It's
I'm
just,
uncomfortable.
but no, it's like the way it's animated. It's funny to me.
It's really funny
nothing.
and it's cute.
I mean, it's nothing in a lewd way, but it amuses me as the simple man that I am. To be fair,
There's a reason. There's a reason why the kawaii thing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's for the cat face.
yeah, and plus, some cat faces are funny. But let's actually get to the cell box discussion here, guys.
All right, cool.
And actually, this is one I've been sitting on for a few. I brought this up with Jordan a long time ago, mostly focusing on different genres. That's kind of the central theme of the soapbox discussions that I've been taking
Okay.
recently. Mostly focusing on what makes for a great, like, fantasy world, or what makes a great magic system, that sort of thing. But since we have a lot of shonen shows in our review docket, I want to propose this to you, Jay, because you like your shonen anime.
Oh man, yeah. Shonen is definitely one of my like strongest fields of expertise when it comes
Okay,
to
so
anime and manga.
let's actually get to a discussion about what makes a great shonen protagonist. Or
So,
what are
I
the
think
qualities that
people-
could make a great shonen protagonist?
Okay, so I think
I'll creep out the ass.
I think people get. Well, I feel like that's just an inherent quality of shonen series in general. But I think a lot of people get this confused with when it comes to shonen. Following tropes doesn't exactly make you a bad shonen. As long as you know what to do with the tropes, like it can be just as satisfying if you're following the formula and doing it correctly, right? Like a lot of people hate on the Black Clover anime because of the fact that I talked about this before, like in just a casual conversation. The fact that they still want to continue the 52 episode format of like the late 90s, early 2000s, when clearly the seasonal release gives the animators and writers enough time in the schedule to do it properly. But Black Clover, in terms of like the manga as a shonen series, it takes a lot of the shonen formula that we know and love, to an extent, and it uses it to its fullest potential, really. And it's completely self-aware that it is following all the same beats we have seen before, but it doesn't shy away from it. It fully dives into it, and it makes the best of what makes a shonen great. And a lot of the appeal of a shonen is just kind of that, like, feel-good story of cheering for an underdog and, wanting the good guy to win. It's the appeal, that a lot of comic fans have when it comes to superheroes, which is why My Hero Academia was kind of a match made in heaven when it takes, like, the, sensibilities of Western Marvel and DC comics and mixes them with the, shonen formula. It's, like, such a good combination, and that's what makes My Hero so awesome.
Right, but the topic that I really want to kind of focus in on, Jay, is mostly what makes for a great shonen protagonist, or what are the qualities that can lead to a shonen protagonist being one of the great, in terms of any type of character, for example.
So personally, for me, when it comes to shonen protagonists, the one archetype that I hate when it comes to shonen protagonist is the crybaby. I hate the crybaby protagonist. Freaking Shinji Ikari, freaking early.
Y'all gotta leave Shinji alone. He got the damn robot. I don't know what you want from this.
Look, I have to bring Shinji up. I'm an Ava fan, but look, Shinji's the one that really started it, so I gotta bring up my man Shinji. You did get in the robot. You did good, kid, but doesn't mean I don't not like the crybaby protagonist. Like, it's just something that always gets on my nerves, and like that's why it took me so long to get into Hitman Reborn, is because Homeboy was such a little bitch.
Oh, but Hitman Reborn is so good.
It is good, but like he's a little bitch for so long.
Oh man, I was easily 100 episodes in and still upset with my dude. Like, shut the fuck up.
That's what I'm saying. It took forever for him to stop, like, for me to stop complaining about his constant blubbering. I mean, hell, you know, outside of shonen, you go into something like Tokyo Ghoul and early Kaneki, like pre-white hair, and it's just like, bitch, you hungry? Go eat. Stop crying about it.
In sense, it's a big fucking cognitive jump to go from being a regular ass human to eating people.
Oh yeah, no. See, that was definitely more justifiable, but at the same time, that still irks my nerves a little bit. I'm like, yo, you don't want to die, right? Eat.
So, we have established one thing to make abundantly clear. No bitch boys as a protagonist. Got it.
Don't make your protagonist a little bitch.
So, no bitch boy protagonist. Gotcha. But, that's one thing. So, let's look at some shonen protagonists from past and present. What makes a lot of the greats great?
So, to also mark off the checklist, you have to have a badass absentee dad.
Or, just...
What are you, gone?
No, gone. Exactly. God, man, freaking Jing is awesome, and that's why I'm hoping. Like, I know, like Horikoshi mentioned before that, like, oh, Deku's dad is just a restaurant chef who works abroad. Nah, man, you can't fool me. He's gone from the kid's life. He's secretly some badass undercover, like.
Just let his dad just be a regular dude.
No, watch. His dad is secretly like an S plus rank superhero with
just
like.
Let him be a regular dude with a minor quirk. Just let him live. Tony, to answer your question more succinctly, I think that a good shonen protagonist has to be capable. Has to be in control of their own life. And what I mean by that is that they just can't be like blown about by circumstance and essentially just fall into situations. They have to actively be an agent in their own progress, which is one of the qualities that I really appreciate about. I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Midori.
Yeah, Deku. Yeah, no, that's another thing that I definitely have to agree with when it comes to making a good shonen protagonist. I don't like the fate-driven shonen protagonist. Like, oh, you know, it was. You know, ordained by prophecy, so it's gotta happen.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can have that... I'm sorry, Jordan. You can go ahead.
I hate prophecies as,
That's what I'm saying, and
we can talk about prophecy later, but I hate it because it like treads that line of predeterminism, where is it a self-fulfilling prophecy, where you essentially make it with the intent that someone will one day walk this path and then hopefully succeed? Or are you literally saying that someone in the universe has been selected before they're born to obey the will of the gods, to become a great hero and slay the great evils? Like, yeah, sure, the great evil needs to be slayed, but did you ever ask this fucker if he wanted to be the hero?
Exactly.
Overbearing power and none of the ability to control it. You really fucked him.
And to bring up some classic shonen examples, like. I know, Jordan, you don't personally like Naruto all that much, but, like, one of the things that I hated about later Naruto was that Naruto started out as like the gutsy knucklehead ninja who had to work hard for everything. He sucked at everything compared to everybody else, but he worked his butt off to get to where he is. But then you find out later, nah, fam, he didn't actually work his butt off. He's actually the reincarnation of Ninja Jesus. So
and then he becomes Ninja Jesus, so don't worry about that. Oh, I'm sorry, Space Magic Ninja Jesus. But we're not talking about Naruto.
But
I
yeah,
think,
no, that,
for what it's
that,
worth, Naruto, it was a great series, but just to get back onto the subject, beyond being the agent of your own destiny, you also have to have potential, and I need to stress this really quickly. A lot of shonen protagonists come out the gate already pretty strong, and then power creep inevitably brings them to be even stronger.
Ichigo Kurosaki.
I don't want to see none of that. I want you to start out, I want you to have a humble beginning. You don't necessarily need to have no powers and obtain them through like a twist of fate or like a shot in the dark chance. But I feel like your powers should be constrained to some degree. And then as you mature as a person and learn more about the world and whatever power system is at play, you also grow in proportion to that, which is why I really appreciate Hunter x Hunter. Because Gon has all this amazing potential, and when he learns something, he learns it quickly and well, and he begins to take on his own spin to it. That's another thing.
And I mean,
you can't be a copy-paste clone of someone else in the series, which is one thing I didn't really appreciate about Goku growing up. It's just like, you're just Master Roshi with spiky hair, like...
No, I feel that, and I think that's also another like a key point in making a shonen protagonist and like a shonen series in general. You have to have a really good established world for a shonen protagonist, where like the world itself can provide you with opportunities to grow and see your potential. Like the Dragon World, for example, they didn't really have that much. Like once he met Master Roshi, that's when the power creep started setting in, because he had to literally train with God, and then he had to train with the God of Gods, and he had to train with the God of Gods of Gods. But like you said with Hunter x Hunter, like Gon had his one master where he initially learned Nen, and then after that point he has to learn to craft Nen on his own, pretty much figure out what he wants to do, what kind of hunter he wants to be. For example, My Hero Academia. You know, at first Deku's like, oh, I'm gonna be like All Might because I have All Might's power. I'm gonna punch stuff. And it's like, well, I kind of wrecked my arms. So you know what? I'm gonna kick stuff now.
Yeah, I feel like Deku's power creep journey has definitely been more of a journey and not just, oh, while I was dead, I suddenly learned how to ascend beyond the Descended Saiyan.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, like it's a genuine journey. Something that I really appreciate. And like stuff like One Piece also has that as well. Like the world is so established that like there are so many different avenues you can take to increase in power, and they all take work and effort. There aren't shortcuts. There are no hyperbolic time chambers or any of that other stuff.
Yeah, I think hyperbolic time chamber, when it was initially introduced, was a very nice mechanism to explain how they could do such high intensity training. Then it just became a plot element. Like, oh, how are they getting stronger in between this fight with Frieza? You know what it is, hyperbolic time chamber, bitches. But please I not BBC because I do love it a lot. And
exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a big part of my childhood, and I'm never gonna be like, oh, Dragon Ball sucks. But like, you can't like ignore the flaws it has.
Oh, I can definitely agree with you guys there. And one of the things that, at least personally for me, and it goes for any protagonist in any story, but I always like a character that is relatable in some way or form. Like, that sense of relatability really gets me going. Like, Deku, I relate to him on a very personal level because, I'm somebody who has a bit of a disadvantage in life, but I've been taught throughout the course of my life to persevere and train myself to be better, and then good things happen.
Yeah, Deku's probably the shonen protagonist that I've been able to relate to the most, because this dude is literally born with a disability. Like, in his world, he is part of like 3% it was that is born quirkless?
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
But an extension of relatability that I think is sort of tied up in that is that your shonen protagonist has to be human, and I don't mean that in a literal sense, like if you have an elf protagonist, then fuck you. I mean, they have to have human-like flaws, and they have to suffer human-like consequences. Not everything should go their way. You don't want this to be another world with a smartphone.
Yeah,
right?
so that's another
sometimes.
That's another problem I have with. I mean, it's a completely different genre, but that's the problem I have with a lot of isekai protagonists, because isekai, a lot of it is like a power fantasy. Now, whereas shonen are supposed to be like this kind of like inspirational growth tale for like young boys to like look at the main character and be like, I want to be like him. And so, like, the reason...
And it's weird, because I could have sworn when I was younger that isekai wasn't like that, but I feel like that's not accurate, right? Like, obviously, isekai is abided by some degree of tropes, where the main character inevitably becomes overpowered because it borrows from the same power creep the shonen anime has, with the addition that they're coming from another world. But it seems to me like in recent years that they essentially come out of the gate overwhelmingly powerful. Like, they didn't work for it. They were either given the power, or they just came into the world and for whatever reason they were John Carter of Earth.
Yeah, but I think the coolest thing about like a shonen protagonist in terms of like the relatability and like the aspirational factor of like a shonen series is like, that's why I don't ever I make fun of Ash Ketchum all the time, right? You know, Pokemon is like one of the first shonen anime a lot of us 90s babies were exposed to. And a lot of people joke Ash about how he never wins a league, he's a whole trainer, blah, 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 blah. Don't get me wrong, he makes a lot of stupid mistakes. You know, one of the things that I will always give the Pokemon anime credit for is the Pokemon anime teaches a lot of kids very early on that it's okay to lose and to learn from your mistake. Because a lot of, like, Ash's character development is losing and then being like, okay, I lost, so instead of crying about it, I'm going to train harder, learn from what I messed up about, and do better. And that's a great lesson to, you know, learn going forward, growing up. And that's the point of a shonen series. It's supposed to teach kids values that, you know, they take with them growing up into adulthood. And I feel like we all have taken, you know, certain values from a shonen series as, you know, we've gotten older.
Yeah, and the one thing that I can say about Ash, even though I'm not his biggest fan,
Same,
when
me either.
when he actually puts forth a lot of effort, depending on which region he goes to, he puts in effort. I can see that most assuredly. So,
like, it's not always the best, but like when it's done well, it is really done well. I mean, just look at the XY anime, and that is like pinnacle Ash right there. Even in Sun and Moon, he does a great job with like his growth and development.
yep, I could definitely agree with you there. So, with that, folks, I think we'll end this episode here. Continue with us in our reviews for the summer season, and hopefully we will have more insightful discussions about our favorite genres in anime, and actually some of our favorite characters, character types in anime as well, since we want to really expand and really get down deep with what makes some of our favorite things when it comes to anime. Even down to the voice acting that most people don't really pay attention to 100%, well, at least out of all of us here.
Voice acting is one of my favorite elements. I cannot wait till that discussion happens.
And also, since I'm someone who has their ears to the ground when it comes to news, so to speak, that Vinland Saga actually did something funny happened that referenced Zombieland Saga and Vinland Saga.
What?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah, and it's this Twitter image from the Zombieland Saga Twitter page of an image of one of their characters and the dog actually dressed as Thorfinn and And the dog
Nice.
has I don't remember this the pink-haired character's name though.
I know who you're talking about, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
it's basically an image of her, and I'm gonna post it in our Discord chat. Sorry, folks, if for not being able to see it. I'll find the image and I'll post it somewhere in the video and whatnot. But it's a really amusing image to me. So, until next time, folks, join us in our crusade of just reviewing anime.